Live from South Victory, this is WFAA News.
Well, good morning, everyone. This is WFAA Academy, 30 minutes of educational content designed for all you kids out there watching, hoping to give mom and dad a break these final days of school. Well, today is Wednesday, so our lesson of the day is all about Texas history. Jay Wallace introduces us to a Texas congresswoman who was a leading figure in the civil rights movement.
The American Civil Rights Movement gave us some of the most powerful, unwavering leaders our country has ever seen. Many found their place through eloquent speeches and strong messages, including someone who did it on one of the biggest of stages. I'm talking about Texas' very own Barbara Jordan.
I felt somehow for many years that George Washington and Alexander Hamilton just left me out by mistake. But through the process of amendment, interpretation, and court decision, I have finally been included in We the People.
That's the voice of Barbara Jordan, the first African-American woman elected to the Texas Senate and the first Southern African-American woman elected to the United States House of Representatives. She was known for her many moving statements and keynote addresses. But first, let's talk about how she got here. Barbara Charlene Jordan was born in Houston in 1936. She was the youngest of three girls. Jordan attended Phyllis Wheatley High School, where a career day speech from Edith Sampson moved her to become an attorney. Sampson was an American judge and the first black U.S. delegate appointed to the United Nations. Because of segregation, Jordan couldn't attend the University of Texas at Austin, so she became a part of the inaugural class at Texas Southern University, majoring in political science and history. It was here where Jordan started to make a name for herself. Jordan quickly became involved at Texas Southern. She joined the debate team and turned the nation's eye to this brand new university. Her team surprisingly and famously tied Harvard University's debate team in Houston. After graduating magna cum laude in 1956, she went on to get her law degree at Boston University. She was one of only two African-American women in her class. Jordan eventually came back to Houston, starting her own private law practice. She campaigned for a House of Representatives seat in 1962 and 1964, failing to win both times. But she did not give up and won a seat in the Texas Senate in 1966, the first African-American woman to do so. Think about Barbara Jordan's perseverance at this point in her life. She is living in the middle of the civil rights movement and consistently taking on positions where she finds herself as the only African-American woman in the room. That is dedicated determination. During her time serving in the Senate, Jordan's peers elected her as the president pro tem, becoming the first African-American female to earn this honor. So when the acting governor or lieutenant governor was out of the state, Jordan would serve as acting governor. On June 10th, 1972, Jordan did just that, and becoming another first, this time, the first black chief executive in the nation.
It's my privilege and my honor to present to you Her Excellency, the Governor of Texas, the Honorable Barbara Jordan.
In 1972, Jordan campaigned a third time for a House of Representatives seat. With her commanding voice, she gave many speeches throughout the Houston area, including telling supporters at a rally, "I'll only be one of 435, but those 434 will know I'm there." With 80% of the votes in the primary, Jordan won and became the first African-American woman in Texas to take a seat with the House of Representatives. In 1973, Jordan began to suffer from multiple sclerosis, but that didn't affect her ability to command a room. One of Jordan's biggest supporters was former President Lyndon B. Johnson, who helped her get a position with the House Judiciary Committee.
So he was very accessible. I mean, you felt you could get to him pretty as accessible as a president could be to anybody.
I never had any difficulty getting through to Lyndon Johnson.
On July 25, 1974, Jordan delivered a 15-minute nationally televised speech in front of this committee. She was opening the hearings that were a part of the impeachment process against President Richard Nixon. Here's a piece of that speech, given at 2 in the morning.
My faith in the Constitution is whole, it is complete, it is total. And I am not going to sit here and be an idle spectator to the diminution, the subversion, the destruction of the Constitution.
Many people consider that these strong words from Jordan make up one of the best speeches in recent American history. Jordan stood by the Constitution and explained her support for the 5 articles of impeachment against President Nixon. Towards the end, she said that if her fellow committee members did not find the evidence convincing enough,
then perhaps that 18th century Constitution should be abandoned to a 20th century paper shredder.
After this speech, many around the nation praised Jordan for her morality and her wisdom. A couple years later, there was some buzz she could be a possible presidential running mate for Jimmy Carter from Georgia. Now, this didn't happen, but she did become the first African-American woman to give a keynote address at the Democratic National Convention.
We believe in equality for all and privileges for none.
This is just one of many speeches Jordan gave that continued to resonate with people. In 1978, Jordan declined to run for a 4th term, retiring from politics a year later. She became an adjunct professor teaching ethics at the school she once wasn't allowed into, the University of Texas at Austin, for the Lyndon B. Johnson School of Public Affairs. Even in retirement and in a wheelchair battling multiple sclerosis, Jordan came back to Washington in 1992 to be the keynote speaker at the Democratic National Convention one more time.
Our strength in this country is rooted in our diversity. Our history bears witness to that fact. E pluribus unum, from many one. It was a good idea when the country was founded, and it's a good idea today.
Jordan died from pneumonia in Austin, Texas on January 17, 1996. More than 1,500 people poured into the Good Hope Missionary Baptist Church in Houston to remember, celebrate, and honor Barbara Charlene Jordan. From a young girl in Houston to a debate star at Texas Southern to one of the strongest voices in Washington, D.C., Jordan left an impact on Texas and this nation. She spoke with confidence and conviction, no matter the stage. I'd like to leave you with part of an interview with Jordan from 1985, where she spoke on the current state of equality and justice in America.
All I can say is that equality and justice remain in our ethical and idealistic view of what the United States of America ought to be. And I believe that on both those issues, equality and justice, things are happening quickly. And I do think that I will live long enough to say, in reality, equality is real and not illusory, and that justice is fact and not fiction.
All right, time now for our weather lesson. We just had history. Kyle, you're going to give us a question, right?
Yeah, that's right. And today's question is topical because it's something that happened today. So my question for you today, if we can get to that, is going to be, are we going to get to it? All right. Well, we'll have that question coming up here in a minute, I guess. There it is. Okay. 7 years ago today, the last EF5 tornado happened where in the U.S.? And the reason why there's an asterisk there next to EF5, We'll talk about why that's there. That's kind of a two-part question for you coming up a little bit. So your answers are Jackson, Mississippi, Peoria, Illinois, Topeka, Kansas, or Moore, Oklahoma. So think about that. If you want to Google, I'll allow it, but you might not come up with the asterisk reason why we'll talk about that coming up just a little bit. That's a tease for you. All right, nothing happening right now. Some showers over in Louisiana. Lots of cloud cover over North Texas. We did have a front move through, and that's keeping those temperatures way cooler than yesterday. Yesterday we hit the 90s. Today we're not going to get anywhere close to that. Temperatures outside right now in the low 70s to some 80s down to the south there, out ahead of that front, and also where that sunshine is broken out. So today I think we hit the low 80s for highs. Yesterday we hit the 90s for highs. Lots of cloud cover today, but we do stay rain free during the day today. That may change tonight as some storms start to move into western North Texas. Here they come. They move into western areas 9, 10 o'clock tonight. They'll start to move into North Texas, but we have one of those caps in place. So those storms should quickly weaken as they move into the North Texas area, and especially by the time they try and reach DFW. There could be a little rain for the DFW area late tonight and into tomorrow morning, but I don't expect any severe weather. That severe weather threat stays out to the west, where we could have some 60-mile-an-hour winds and half-dollar-sized hail. But even in those areas, it would be rather isolated as those storms really start to weaken as they move into the North Texas area. During the day tomorrow, not expecting a whole lot to happen. Could have some lingering showers. Maybe a thunderstorm or two develops during the afternoon. Then as we head into Friday, we'll be watching for the chances that some showers and storms to roll into the area during the afternoon and then into the evening hour. This computer model may be a little aggressive, but it kind of gives you the idea that we'll be watching for some storms moving out of Oklahoma during the day on Friday, and we'll be watching those. It's May for the chance of some wind and some hail. Today, mostly cloudy, breezing cooler. 81 will be your high overnight tonight. Mainly cloudy, some scattered thunderstorms if those thunderstorms can survive. Then daily rain chances right on through the weekend. Unfortunately, the highest coverage does look like it'll be Sunday into your actual Memorial Day, with even some lingering rain chances most of the upcoming week as well. All right, so back to the question. 7 years ago today, the last EF5 tornado happened in the U.S. We haven't had one since then. Where did that happen? Well, that happened in Moore, Oklahoma. The Moore, Oklahoma EF5 tornado 7 years ago today. Now, the asterisk is there is because 11 days later, on May 31st, El Reno, Oklahoma had a tornado that was preliminarily rated an EF5 tornado because of some wind speeds that were measured within the tornado. But then it got revised back down to an EF3 because it didn't hit anything. It was out over mostly open country. It didn't hit anything that would give us an EF5 rating, because tornado ratings are based on damage, not measured wind speed. So that's why the asterisk is there. Some people still consider the El Reno tornado an EF5, but officially it is an EF3. So Moore, Oklahoma, the last EF5 tornado to happen in the U.S.
All I'm saying is I finally got one right, Kyle. So thank you very much with all these questions.
For you.
Appreciate it, Kyle. Thank you. Okay, that wraps up our weather lesson. Up next, reading, guys. If you want to grab our book, this is it, Finding Esme, okay? You can also scan this QR code to download the book. We also have information on how you can get it, an e-card rather, from North Texas libraries to check out a free copy. Stick with us. Okay, welcome back to WFAA Academy, as it is time for some reading. We're reading along with you today. Of course, the book is Finding Esme by Texas author Suzanne Crowley. Yesterday's reading should have taken you through chapter 5. Hopefully you did your homework. So we can dive into chapter 6 today. And joining us as we read today is Gwen Reyes from freshfiction.com. Good morning, Gwen.
Good morning, Tashara. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Now, for those just joining us, let's talk a little bit about what we've read so far.
Yeah, so there was a lot that happened in chapter 5 for sure. The biggest thing happened with Esme going up to the top of the hill and finally discovering what that bone that she had been sort of considering and she found earlier in the book, but now she's got a better idea of what it is, and it is actually not just a bone, but a 3-inch tooth. So as you can imagine, that kind of has set Esme off into a little pondering and questioning of what's happening. But the other thing that's really interesting is that she's also going back and chatting with her neighbor, Miss Lila, who has some secrets of her own and some information about what's going up on that hill.
Okay, this sounds super interesting and all juicy. Thoughts on what we should look for in today's chapter 6?
So definitely in this chapter 6, we're going to see more of why Esme's mom has been keeping the secret of the postcards that her her husband has been sending that not anybody knows about, because the husband did run off. Their father left a few years prior. And then we're also going to just see a little bit more interaction between Esme and her little brother.
All right, this sounds real interesting, and I'm excited about it. I kind of already read ahead in chapter 6, so it gets real good right at the beginning. So we'll see how it goes. Gwen Reyes, hey, thank you so much. Truly appreciate you helping us out here this morning.
My pleasure.
Okay, we'll be right back with our next chapter. Once again, here's that QR code to download it if you need, or check with your local library for an electronic edition. I'm reading, y'all, right after the break. Okay, hello, Professor Parker is here. Hey, welcome back. Time for our reading lesson. Our next chapter, chapter 6 of Finding Esme. Hey, I hope you got your books ready, because we are about to dive right on in. Okay, here we go, y'all. So I was riding my bike back from Finch's when B pulled up next to me in the wagon and came to a creaky stop, the dust blowing in a powdery puff in my face. I put my bike in the back and got in. "Where you been?" she snapped. My stomach just fell. Now, I'd been hoping I'd find a way to sneak back up Silas Hill without her seeing me. Well, June Rain and Bo were in the back seat. You know, they just quiet as doves back there. "Over to see Miss Leela," I said. I glanced at June Rain, but her eyes were far away. Now, I was very mad at her for not telling us about the postcards. But being mad at June Rain was like being mad at the wind or the sky. Now, Bo leaned over the seat and I just gasped. Whew, the old crazy quilt, the one I'd used to cover the bone on Silas Hill, it was wrapped around his shoulders. He peeked out of it like a pig in a blanket. Now, B hit the gas and we lurched forward. "She wasn't expecting you, was she?" She glanced over at me, narrowing her eyes behind her spectacles. She was wearing her finding clothes and had a freshly picked witching stick sitting on the seat between us. It had one lone unripe peach on it. I knew exactly what tree she'd gotten it from, because I knew every peach tree by heart. Now, B varied her witching sticks depending on the weather and even her mood. A peach witching stick, well, that meant she wasn't sure what we were gonna get. She muttered when I didn't answer her right away. Now, B knew I was hiding something. She always said when I lied, my nostrils just flared, which let the devil in. So you know what I did? I turned my head and I looked out the window so she couldn't even see my nose. "Where are we going?" I asked, glancing back at Bo, wondering why he had the quilt and what he'd seen. Treva Stump called and said she is having something for me. Wouldn't say on the line, because you know everybody was listening up and down the road. We have a party line on our road. You know, that means everyone knows one another business. Yeah, I could hear that Granger Aberdeen breathing heavy and Pearl May telling him to get off the phone. She had chores for him to do. "Why they coming?" I asked, tilting my head toward the back seat. Okay, y'all, that's it for our book today. Make sure y'all do your homework, okay? Read chapter 6. Oh, they said I can go to another page? I thought we had a minute left. Okay, so I'm going to keep going a little bit. Okay, June Rain says she feels up to working at Sweet Malls and we need the money bad, she said. I nodded. B continued. Sweet Mall says lots of the ladies are getting their hair done for some tea tomorrow. Everyone wants perms and no one does them better than June Rain. Right, June Rain. I knew June Rain wouldn't answer. B always talked to June Rain that way, like she's a baby or a dog that might miraculously answer back. Now that's all my time. Okay, make sure you finish reading chapter 6, y'all. But here's a preview of what we have coming up tomorrow in Health and Wellness.
If you've been working from home and you find your low back aching or your shoulders are tight because of the way that you're sitting, or maybe for weeks and weeks you've been walking a lot, playing with your kids, but you're not properly stretching, we're gonna fix all that. Tomorrow at 11:30 for 7 minutes, we're gonna do a stretch. It's part of the WFAA Academy, My Health and Wellness series this month. Join us, you don't need anything, just yourself.
I'm telling y'all, all of Sonia's stretching and meditation and all that good stuff, it's really been helping me out a whole lot. Again, remember the homework is chapter 6. Make sure you finish reading that because we're going to pick things back up chapter 7 tomorrow. So y'all come ready and prepared, okay? So we can get through this. All right, that's all our time here today. We'll see you right back here at 4 p.m., guys. Hey, make it a good Wednesday. Happy Wednesday to you.